This is James Gunn's world, and we're all just living in it. We'll talk about it on Comic Book Canon. That's right. Very light news week. Very light indeed. However, very James Gunn-centric. Let me bring in my good friend, co-host, and partner in crime, Christopher. Is that's fair to say, correct?
Yep, doing dirt.
Doing dirt, and we love that dirt. We love that dirt. It's it's a privilege to be here with you on a Sunday night. Mind you, everybody, that at the beginning of the next 2023, we'll be moving to Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. People were worried about your work schedule, Chris. If you'll make it on time for the show on a weekday, you got to let us know. I don't think you addressed it.
Absolutely, man. What y'all thinking, man?
It's the canon. I can't do the canon without. Granted, we've done the canon without each other, but it's not the same. It's not the canon. It's definitely not the canon with you fine people. So hopefully you will join us 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific every Monday, starting in 2023. Chris, this year went by so quickly. We're getting closer to the holidays. The news is getting sparse. People are getting busy with family things, shopping. But again, time is our most precious commodity, and we're so happy to share it with you. So with that being said, we are just going to get into it because there's some pretty cool news that happened this week, I have to say. For all of us comic book fans and geeks. My screen just went to shit. Sorry about that. But let's just get into it because earlier in the week, we had a Guardians of the Galaxy trailer. Holy cannoli. It was revealed at CCXP in Brazil, and they finally released it to the wider audience, meaning us. Goodness gracious, get yourself a tissue if you haven't seen it yet because it is emotional. People are not going to make it out of this film. The synopsis is the beloved band of misfits are looking a bit different these days. Peter Quill, still reeling from the loss of Gamora, must rally his team around him to defend the universe along with protecting one of their own. It's a mission that, if not completed successfully, could quite possibly lead to the end of the Guardians as we know them. Also, we got an amazing first look at Chris. Who is it? Chris?
Oh, yeah, man. The goatess of goats.
That's right, Warlock, a.k.a. Whitelock. Look at that, Chris. Well, Chris, you need to give us your first impression right here because this is your guy.
Yeah, I was with, I think a lot of people will, I keep forgetting how to say his last name, Portier or something like that, Portier.
Yeah, you got it right. Either way, it's fine.
Yeah, I was like, oh, man, this kid, like everything I've seen him in, he's annoying, right? But I watched Dope Sick, great show on Hulu if you haven't seen it. He did a really good job. He's all grown up. I think he has, and the personality too, I think he's going to kill it. I love seeing this quick little, brief.
It was very quick. Very quick.
Trailer. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, Jeff, in celebration on my sale on Friday, actually sold one of my Warlock and the Infinity Watch #1s.
Oh, really?
I let one go.
How did you part with that?
I share the love because cool. I auctioned off saying, guess what, guys? This is the only one you'll ever find because I own every other single copy.
You're the Jordan Norrie of Warlock and the Infinity Watch.
Yep.
That's absolutely incredible. He did get jacked for this film. He's not looking like that, kind of goofy ass kid, but I like it, Chris. Now, if you look at his forehead here,
yes.
It's not going to be an Infinity Stone, is it?
I
don't know.
Well, Jeff, I love when these things pop up. What have I been saying over the last? When did Kevin Feige take over the comic book side of Marvel? When was that? A year and a half ago? More than like 2 years ago.
With the pandemic, I don't know. I don't have any sense of time.
I know, right? Time is
yeah. So it could have been 10 years ago. I agree with you right now.
Ever since that happened, what have I been saying? I've been saying they're going to do. It's been the opposite way. The comics have been repeating the success of the movies. Let's rehash it into the books. Rehash it in the book. We're going to flip this around. We're going to start doing things in the comics, and then we're going to start introducing it into the films in these creative ways. There's a new Infinity Stone in the comics.
Oh, that's right. That's coming. You're right. Interesting, Chris.
Mm-hmm. And then what can that lead up to?
But didn't they say that they're like 10 years down the road is when they're going to start looking at at stories now.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. They could start. It's the end game. It's the end game. You can start setting things up right now because they're not going to do it the same exact way. And because they introduced Warlock after this Infinity Gauntlet saga, right? Now is the way to reintroduce them, to introduce that new one. And what did they do in Loki last year? We know that there are other Infinity Stones throughout the multiverse. Infinity Watch.
Yeah. Yo, man, that's I think I think it's on FOC this month tomorrow. Thor, the new Infinity Stone. So that'll be very interesting. Also in the trailer too was High Evolutionary, and Consensual Sense Slot says he picked it up for $2. Bargain of the year, dude. Good work on that. Outstanding. All right, moving on though. Again, that's a James Gunn production. So what we have to say about that, you know, we all know James is moving on to DC, right? The DCU, not EU, the DCU. And we got a new well, first before we talk about this, it's interesting because they have been canceling projects since that new Discovery CEO dude, obviously everybody knows what happened to Batgirl. Everybody's like, what's going to happen with all of these other projects coming up? You got the Penguin series, Batman 2. Is it going to be in the DCU? Probably not. Joker. Those things that are already greenlit seem to be happening, as well as this film that I think all of us are pretty excited about. It's Blue Beetle. They released a poster, I believe yesterday or the day before. And look at that. It's got fresh 80s vibes, in my opinion, Chris. What do you think?
I agree. That's exactly what I was thinking. I love the hot, the kind of hot pink and purples in the font and everything.
Yeah. And you got the beautiful scarab. Again, teasing Blue Beetle. It's coming. It's not canceled. That costume looks awesome. And on top of that, so just so you know, this is confirmed. James Gunn tweeted this as well. So he is on board with this. So that's good news. That's very good news for those of us looking forward to Blue Beetle. Hey, here's a good question. Any thoughts on the Eminem Spidey comic? That could be a props or flops. Maybe we'll get to that later on in the show. Good question, though, Creepy Cow Comics. Good question indeed. Joe, you never have to apologize. Please stop. You should apologize for apologizing. Jesus. Moving on, Chris. You got the final news story of the week, and this was another trailer that we should all be excited about.
This was awesome, guys. I know, you guys hardly ever see the side of this room out here, but there's a few in the back if you guys can spot them. But I'm a huge Transformers fan. My whole wall over here is covered in Transformers toys, and we got the new Transformers trailer, Rise of the Beast, and I will say I was really impressed. So wow, here's where it kind of might hurt your brain. Okay, so in the trailer we see some of the classic Autobots. We see Optimus. We get a first look at Mirage, who looks amazing in my humble opinion. I think. Look, there were some critiques of the CGI, but again, it's a first trailer and everything's moving so fast. And keep in mind, guys, Michael Bay's CGI, like by the second, third film, I couldn't even tell what was transforming or what was going anywhere. So, yeah. But here's the thing: we all know that Michael Bay did 5 films. I won't get into that, or we'll be here all night. And then we had the Bumblebee film, right? Bumblebee was supposed to be a prequel to the Bay trilogy. And this film right here is going to be a sequel to Bumblebee. It takes place in the 90s. Remember, Bumblebee took place in the 80s. So, it most likely, though, isn't another prequel to Bay's films, as it was stated that Bumblebee was going to be a soft reboot, more of like a new beginning for the franchise, right? So they can expand the universe, the live action universe in more of a fresh manner. So with this film, obviously focusing on Optimus, you see Optimus Prime in the trailer, and the Autobots teaming up with Optimus Primal, who I thought looked pretty freaking awesome, to fight against Decepticons. And, I don't know if there's other threats going on, but one thing I liked about this trailer, though, is that it didn't seem too human heavy. You know, this is a Transformers movie, not a freaking human military movie where the Transformers are like the sidekicks that you see every once in a while. I want a Transformers movie. I'm hoping this one will do it.
Yeah, man, I thought it was pretty good. Here's the deal. I absolutely love. I'm going to take you guys down my path of Transformer live action film. I thought one was cool because it was the novelty of seeing a live action Transformers film. That we've talked about that on the show. Everyone after that was a hot mess. It was garbage. I mean, when they started talking about, you know, people's cock and balls and stuff like that, robots specifically, I'm like, dude. And that was after they jumped the shark. That, I don't know what the next cliche phrase we could use there. They were horrible. I didn't have any expectations for Bumblebee. It blew me away. I thought it was such a good movie. Such a good movie. And I do believe you're right that it was a soft reboot trying to kind of erase all the crap that Bay put out. And I hope it continues the trend here, given it's in the 90s. So we'll see. I'm excited. I thought this trailer was great. I love how they brought back, you know, some of the cast, like they did Peter Cullen and then
Peter Cullen.
But the dude who plays come on, he was in Sons of Anarchy. Ron Perlman. They brought him as the you know, so it's exciting. I'm excited for this. We all should be excited. It's coming out next year. A lot of amazing films coming out next year.
I'm excited
to quench our geek thirst, our absolute geek thirst. And that there though ends the news. Tell us what you think about or how excited you are about any of these pieces of news. Guardians of the Galaxy. Again, you haven't seen it, bring a tissue. That trailer, Blue Beetle, you know, Transformers. Let us know. It's a wide range. We had a wide range of news here. We had MCU, DCU. We had Transformers. I love it, Chris. I love it when it's not too heavy on one side or the other. All right, before we get into the next segment, we got to say hello to some people. We got Caleb Leland in the house. We got Joe, a.k.a. 360 Comics, that better stop apologizing. Dan De La Torre is out with his wife. As we said, Consensual Sense Slots has the first appearance of High Evolutionary for $2. Comic Noob just joined. Creepy Cow Comics. Good question. Hopefully we can get to that in props or flops. We got, who else do we have? Jordan Nori, Dale McNoud, Spider Dude, Matt Labno, T. Shoe, Sean Miller with Grunt Comics, who won this book that I'm going to be sending out at some point. I just don't know. Oh, it's right there. I didn't know where I put it. Yes, this week, probably tomorrow. Don't hold me to it though. Who else do we have? Jacob Comics. We got a good crew today, everybody. Again, time is our most precious commodity. Norton Rad is here. He just wants to see Cocaine Bear. What's the deal with Cocaine Bear? I've heard about it. Everybody's, laughing. We got Matt Stadge in the house. Anyways, all right. Let's move on to the next segment. I sound like I'm on cocaine right now. I'm a little all over the place. I'm not taking any.
You've been hanging out with Michael Bay.
Yeah, actually, yeah. As I'm scratching my nose, by the way. But as you see, there is no white powder anywhere around my nostrils. All right, Chris, you do an amazing segment where people send in questions about their comic books. They have you answer, me answer, and the audience answer specifically about this segment called Props or Flops. Explain it to us right now.
All right, everyone. As always, every week we do the segment Props or Flops. This is an investment strategy segment. If you have a book that you just purchased or a book that you're hunting down, whether you're wanting to buy it for short-term speculation, long-term investment, whatever the case may be, take a picture of the book or find a stock image of a book you're interested in, upload it to Instagram. Use the hashtag Props or Flops. But again, as we always say, tag me at journos_comics and tag us at Combo Book Cannon, because again, this week, some of the submissions were not pulled into the hashtag. So make sure you tag us as well. And then show the book, explain why it interests you or why you picked it up. And the more details, the better. Because remember, in order to give it a props or a flops based on investment reasons, it's really good to understand what you paid for it, because that's going to be a key factor in my decision and Jeff's decision and all of our decisions and your guys' decision saying, oh, I'm going to give that a props or I'm going to give that a flop. So submit them every week. And on our show, we will break down the market live.
Facts. Absolutely. Again, very important to tag us, whether it be props or flops or Fresh from the comic shop. Holy
Yes.
cow. Make sure you tag us and use those hashtags. Again, it gets a little messy these days. All right, Chris, we're just going to get into it. Should I just bring one up?
Yep. I think we got a Spidey book.
Let's see if I can. There we go. Nope.
Oh, we got Deathlock. All right. So, guys, Deathlock. First appearance in Astonishing Tales 25. Some Bronze Age goodness. This is from Best Core 1. Best Core, thank you so much for your submission here. Let's read what Best Core wrote. Hey, guys, Journals Comics, Radioactive Bug. I bought a very fine copy of Astonishing Tales number 25 for 180 shipped. This particular raw copy has white pages, pressable defects, and could quite possibly bump up to a very fine plus, which in number terms, for those that may not know, that is an 8.5. All right, moving on, he further states, I wanted this book for ages and felt that it was time when I saw this copy listed at 20% off for Black Friday. Deathlock is an awesome character that can be inserted into pretty much any MCU scenario imaginable. I agree with that. Going on to say, this book is amazing regardless of the MCU. I agree with that as well. Such a great read, and that George Perez cover is an undeniable classic. Got to give it props, am I right? All right. Well, remember what we say, Best Core. This is an investment segment, but it sounds like you absolutely love this book, and because of that, you want to give it a props all day. Absolutely. George Perez goodness. Rest his soul. Props all day long, right? Deathlock is a props character to me, man. You could have bought a couple of his 1990 #1 book, and I would have been like, that's a props because it's such a cool book. I remember buying my copy off the shelf, with the silver background and everything. And I love Bronze Age Marvel stuff. So when you're looking at those things and loving the book all day long, I love it too. But let's talk about investing. This Best Core bought this copy, saying it's about a very fine range over the last 6 months. The average is $129, so a bit below, but he did say that was including shipping. So, keep in mind, maybe he paid about $10, $12 for shipping, which would bring the book more around, $170, but still, it seems that the fair market value over the last 6 months is lower still. All right. Now that's a range because remember, we're dealing with raw books. It's not like a set in stone CGC or CBCS grade, et cetera, et cetera. The only sale, though, that was over $180 was one of them out of the last 6 months, and that one sold for $194. Now, this book is overall down since last spring. And last spring, that's this year, last spring was its peak. Very fine plus 8.5 CGC, 6 months fair market value. So now we're going to look at graded books, right? Because he said, I might be able to press and clean this and get this book up to a very fine plus 8.5. So over the last 6 months, a graded 8.5 average is $245 with the last sale of $218. So let's look at that. What does that mean? If this individual paid $180 for this book and sent it into CGC. Now, here's the thing. I got to look at this because this book is a 25-cent book. Early 25-cent books fall under the higher value tier for a CGC. So, Astonishing Tales 25 release date, publication date. Watch this, guys. This is August 1974. So what does that mean? You're not paying $24 for this book. Anybody in the audience, if you know exactly what CGC's prices are now for that higher tier, I believe it's called the value tier. I think it's at least, is it $36, $38? So that's what you would pay to send it out. Plus you would pay shipping costs. So if this individual got the fair market value of $245 over the last 6 months for this book, if it got an 8.5, and remember, he might have to pay somebody to press and clean it. He's paying about the same amount and would about break even. But if he was the last sale and got with the last sale, got at 218, he'd lose money. Oh man, that's a tough one. Now let's look at more historic value. All right, during its peak, again, in April, so that was the 6 months in the year, I believe it was December to May. December 2021 to May of 2022. Fair market value was $412. That's down 41%. So here's the thing. The economy right now is very interesting, and it could definitely still affect some key books. I see some key books rising just because of, demand. And I see books dropping still because of economic turmoil and the uncertainty of the future. This individual bought this book at a discounted 20% off. So I would have to say that whoever they bought the book from had this book at a price that was well overvalued to begin with, in my humble opinion. Jeff, this is a really tough one for me because I think that this is an awesome Bronze Age first appearance. I definitely think, in 10 years from now, this book is going to be worth more than what it is. But I got to give it a flops because I just think that this individual paid more than they could have. I don't want to say should have. I'm going to say could have because I don't know. And Best Core, love you to death. Great friend of the channel, great supporter. But I would like to know how much time and due diligence you put into researching this book. And if it was one of those situations where maybe you weren't really scoping it out, but you saw it for 20% off and said, oh man, this is a Black Friday deal. Maybe I got to grab it. And again, take into consideration, guys, this isn't a book that's up for sale and you could find it all over the place all the time. And this is a higher grade. This is a nice looking grade. And maybe for Best Core, because there was maybe no other very fine range copies on the market at the time, maybe it worked for him and said, you know what, maybe it's a little higher than it's been trending in this grade. But guess what? It's still a discount from the sticker price. The future's uncertain. I'm willing to pay a little bit more. So again, I can't sit here and say that this was a horrible buy because there's all these other factors of why this individual bought the book. But overall, I need more context, and I just still feel that the individual overpaid, and that's why I'm giving it a very kind of like bitter. I don't want to say bittersweet, but just kind of like it's a really low energy flops, if that makes sense, Jeff.
I
want to give it a prop.
It's a hard one. You're conflicted, right? Because it's such a great book. It's got so many things going for it. However, it's fact of the matter, numbers don't lie, and there are too many variables within the story of this person's. I'm sorry, what's the name?
Best Core.
Best Core. Too many variables involved with Best Core's purchase for it to go wrong and have it be a bad purchase. However, down the road, it could be an amazing purchase. Who knows? Joe said that we haven't seen Deathlock yet. Well, we kind of have. In Agents of Shield.
Forgot about that.
Yeah. But and Joe, I'm not calling you out, but man, that was stupid what you said. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I have to agree with you on the flops. It is hard to say because it's, again, such a great book, a lot of great things going for it. We think you overpaid. We think there are a lot of variables because, again, you can send this. You may be, you're going to get a grader and that's having a horrible day, and he or she will give it a 6.5. So you don't know. Let us know if you did get it in at an 8.5. I guess that's basically breaking even, correct, Chris?
If it gets an 8.5 and he could sell it for the 6 month moving fair market value average, he'll just about break even. And I want to highlight, again, Comic Noob props just because he said he wanted it for ages. Yeah. T-Shu saying he's keeping it. He loves it. It's not a financial decision. We agree with all of you guys. But again, he submitted this pickup to a segment where we break it down based on financial reasoning and financial decisions. So again, that's what we got to base our our opinion on, but we're right there with you guys. I mean, this isn't a horrible buy of a comic book.
No.
You know, it's just like somebody wanting to go to a fancy restaurant and spend $30 a dinner plate, knowing that they could have cooked the same food at home for like a tenth of the cost. It's not an investment reason that they're going and eating out at a restaurant. They want the experience, or there's other factors of why they're willing to spend the money. And of course, there are those factors in here with best score. But again, fine, investment wise, it was a very, very kind of more of a volatile. He put himself in a situation to be in a position to lose money because of the price that he paid for this book on the current market. Joe's trying to start something here. Chris, this might be the first time I disagree with you here. Could end up with a 9.0. This book is a solid long-term investment at fair market value. Yeah, but I'll say right back, he could end up with a 6.0. I had
a lot
two
of variables. We don't know till we know, right?
I had 2 books that I sent in to CGC that I thought were at least 8.5s. I thought my Silver Age Silver Surfer 72 was at least a 9.0, but it had a minimum, like it had a what they called a water spot this big, and I got a 7.0 on it. So we can sit here and play the game of what's CGC gonna do, this way or that way. I don't know best course knowledge on grading. I don't know if he's studied any of the books or if he's really savvy to, looking at that book. So yeah, everything's a gamble. Everything's a gamble. But if this individual, if the seller, whether he got it from a store or wherever he got it from, if they are listing it at a very fine, and I'm the buyer and I'm looking at it and said, with the press it clean, I think I could get a very fine plus. And the way I do it, when I do that, when I'm looking at a book and say, I can press it clean this book, I am very conservative on what I think it could get max. So if I'm saying this could bump up to a very fine, if it's me, that's max. So if I'm best core in that situation, and I'm still looking at the price tag, $180, if I'm buying it for investment reasons, I'm negotiating with that seller. I'm saying, look, man, the market's been down. It can still go down. The market's been heavily down on this book. It's down 40% from earlier this year. If I press it clean this and get a very fine plus, I might not even break even because the last one sold for $218. I'll give you 140 for it. That's what I would do. Did Best Core do this? I don't know. But again, when looking from specifically an investment reason, it's a volatile state of the market with this book per the data that is given. If we were looking at, if this book was already graded, and that's why they say, that's why a lot of people say, I only stick to buying graded books, then you have more of a security in value, and that leans to, which way you swing when you're making purchasing decisions. But yeah, I hear it again. I'm not changing my mind. It's a reluctant flops on the investment side.
That's a good way to put it. Reluctant flops. That's absolutely, but it's still a flop. Well, we got some additional great comments here. Looking for the cheapest deal isn't always the safest choice. Sometimes overpaying can be worth not getting ripped off. 100%. Absolutely.
Yep.
Very good point.
Yep.
Tishu. I thought this segment was, is it a good buy? Prop or flop? Nothing to do with financial resell. If financial, prop to the seller and prop to the buyer. I still think that's a prop.
Oh, so I think Tishu's saying that I think it was a good payoff for both parties involved at that price.
Yeah, I would think so. Matt Stadge brings up a good point. By the way, Raising Elm, what's happening, hot stuff? Good to see you. I've overpaid for so many books as the months and years go by. I'm happy to have the books, and the few extra bucks I paid mean nothing.
Yep.
Again,
and
that's fine.
I got the perfect example. I say it all the time. My Wolverine $1. I bought it raw, and I got into a little FOMO when the clock was ticking on an eBay bid. And I was like, $50, $50 max. I think at that point in time, high grade Raws were selling for in the $40 range. And I said, I'm paying 50. My final bid that I won it on was like $67. I overpaid for that book at the time. I sent it off to CGC. It got a 9.6. Now, I'll even if I kept it raw, I'd probably at least double my money selling that book right now. So yeah, I mean that definitely.
But that's again, that's a could happen.
Yep.
Not, you know what I mean? That at that moment when you overpay, that was a could happen. So again, a lot of things could happen. We just don't know. And Brendan Riley, speaking specifically to Deathlock, it's worth noting Deathlock just had a big arc in the main Avengers and Savage Avengers books. True story. If that mirrors in the MCU, especially with the timeline multiverse crossover, it could easily debut in the yes. Anything is possible, 100%, including Nuke's Comics saying what's good, everyone, and what's good to you. All right, that was awesome. That's
Great
what we want to see. Yes, that's what we want to see from y'all. Everybody is a collective talking about props or flops because we have a new one, Chris. We have another one here. Let's just get to it.
Now I think we got some Spidey.
That Spider-Man book. Boom.
All right, guys. We got It's a Spider-Man book. It's a props, Jeff. I'm done. That's it. It's Spider-Man.
Boom. All right. There we go.
We're done.
And that's our show, everybody. Good night. No, just kidding.
No, just kidding. All right. No, just kidding. Let's look at this book. We got Spider-Man: The Lost Years in a CGC 9.6. All right, let's read. This is from Mod Cult Collectibles. Mod Cult Collectibles, thank you so much for the submission. This might be a kind of a speculative play, which I generally don't do. But as a Spider-Man fan, I've been following the events leading up to Dark Web, and that includes the introduction of Hallows' Eve. I fell in love with their concept and design, and I'm hoping we see some Bonnie and Clyde action from her and Ben, as well as see how their relationship develops and how they interact with others in the Marvel universe. I think I paid fair market value for this issue today, around $50 that is shipped. It's a long-term hold, and no matter what, I have an issue of a character I really like and believe has future potential. I guess her fate is in the hands of the creative team. Well said, well broken down. Let's look at what this book's been doing. Janine Godby, first appearance in this book, recently became Hallows' Eve in Amazing Spider-Man, was it issue 14? So, of course, that's got everybody's eyes on this book. So, the only CGC 9.6 that I could find was a sale for $35. And I'm thinking that might be for this book because he said he paid about $50 for it. $35 plus shipping. I'm sure that's about $50. So that might very well be Mod's book. All right. Now let's look at the history, though. A near mint high grade raw of this book has been a $2 to $3 book forever. Forever. I own this book, and I remember picking up this book because it was with some of the other issues of this run and some other kind of like random 90s unpopular Spider-Man stuff. I got them at a sale at Empire Comics here in Sacramento for $25 each. This was about the year before COVID, early 2019 maybe. So that's how much I paid for them. Score. $2 to $3 book all day long for years. Once Hallows' Eve dropped, average raw is now $12, and that's over the last like month or so trending. There's been a few that have hit about $20. Okay, let's look at this. I always like to say I like when there's new characters that are introduced in the comics and there's a spike in demand because of that. I like that. But what concerns me is the reason for the spike. Do we really like the character? I like what Mod said here. I like the character because of what can happen in the comics. I like the design. How often do we hear people talking about the design? I think when we think about that, look at Venom. Venom came out, and I don't think there was any other character that was drawn in that way. And it was, I think, the design of Venom that made him stand out so much that attracted us as comic book fans to this character. So there's a lot of those intrinsic variables, but I think we can't overlook the fact that anytime a character gets introduced in the comic books, a lot of people start focusing their attention on it, not because of what they think the character is going to be in the comics, but because, again, what does everything relate to right now with FOMO and just getting under the hype? Oh, man, here's a new character. They can show up in the MCU. And what have I said over the last year? And I think Frogman is the epitome of it. Just because somebody shows up in the MCU, it's not going to make their comics be top tier keys. All right. We have characters showing up in the MCU just like they do in the comics now. There are so many parallels with the MCU next to the comics now. The MCU isn't just a few movies with a handful of characters. And maybe there was a character introduced like Guardians of the Galaxy, where they were kind of a bunch of characters that nobody paid any mind to, but they were done so well and they were propelled to the forefront of the cosmic MCU. Now we care about them, and that's valid. That's valid because they're classic MCU characters. Frogman. Now, though, we have TV shows coming out every other month. We have movies coming out every other month, just like comic books hit the shelves. Nobody cares about every single title and every single Simple Simon character that shows up. They're not going to hold value like your top tier characters or even your sidekicks or your B-list characters, whatever those are in your mind. So when we look at this book, you got to really think, how long is this character going to be around in the comics as well? Because how many, here's one thing. I've had so many problems with Spidey books. How many times are we going to go back to freaking Norman Osborn and goblins? Remember the Red Goblin? Like, that book was selling for freaking $30, dude. You can't even sell it for cover price now. And then we just had the Goblin Queen, and it's like, and now that's gone. I don't know if this character will pan out, because specifically in Spider-Man, and I know because I've read every issue, they don't know what they're doing with Spider-Man. They don't. And if we do see this character show up in the MCU, it's going to be a long way, because you'd have to introduce a lot of people. And I don't think we're seeing Ben Reilly anytime soon. I think we're going to get Miles Morales before we get a Ben Reilly. And how does that even play? At least in the MCU and not in Sony properties. Maybe in Sony properties we'll get some type of ban. I don't know. I mean, maybe Sony could do something with goblins and the dark web before we even get a Green Goblin, because we know that that's what Sony likes to do. It doesn't make sense, right? I don't know. But when you look at the numbers, here's my thing. What do I talk about graded books? This is a book that, to me, needs to be in a 9.8 if you want to think about making any money. It needs to be. You got a 9.8 selling for $35. You're paying for the slab. You're paying for the slab. But I still wouldn't even buy this book in a graded 9.8. Go to your LCSs right now. I'm spoiled. I know all of you aren't. I have about 12 LCSs that I can hit up in one day in SAC. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to look in the back issue bins, and I guarantee you there's going to be one store that I could find this in the back issue bins, probably in a high grade for under $5. But even if they are, I would rather spend, if the fair market value of this in 9.8 potential books is $12, I would rather spend $50 on 4 raw issues of this book. Keep them raw. And when something happens, if something gets announced of this character in the MCU or in the Sonyverse, I'm selling them all. I'm selling them all right there raw, because what it's going to cost me to send out to CGC, and I'm going to be paying the $15 pre-screen, whatever it is now, or is it still $5? A $5 pre-screen for the 9.8s, because if they don't come back 9.8s, I'm wasting money. Mod, again, as a Spider-Man fan, spending $50 isn't a lot of money for a lot of people. You like this book, you like what they're doing for the character in the comics, fine. I would not have spent $50 on this book. I would have took $50 and bought a mid-grade Silver Age Amazing Spider-Man book for $50, because I know for a fact that book is going to increase in value even in a downturning market. I've talked about that recently on my channel. It's a fact. Sorry, Mod. I gotta give this book a flops.
Woo. Okay. I'm going to agree with your points here too. Wow, man, this is such a negative day for us here. And honestly, it couldn't have been better said. I brought this up by 360, aka Joe. Flop because it's currently hyped as heck. Also, it's a 9.6 modern book. You always want the 9.8 when it's modern. Now, I don't know. You could crack it open and maybe press and clean it and send it back in. I don't know if it's worth that either.
Yeah, but then you're spending even more money.
I don't know. I don't know, man. So I agree with what you said, Chris, and it definitely sways me. Like this is exactly why I have to give it a flop as well. And I hate doing it because again, Hallows Eve seems like she is a cool character. And Brendan Riley brought up a good point. She could turn into a some sort of a hero like a Venom, but I don't know what you said as well. They're not going to be investing much time into they're not going to be investing much right now into Ben Riley. That's going to get convoluted and crazy and again. So by the way, yes, go Birds! 11-1. I'm not talking about what Chris is dealing with in terms of his NFL team. So
horrible.
All right. But again, that was props for flops. This was excellent. This was actually this book, I think right here, everybody was it was kind of polarizing. There was different views on it, but this was one of the best segments of props for flops we've done. We really love seeing that engagement. So send in your props or flops. We'll do this segment again next week. It is fun. All right. Moving on. Yes, Cable Leland, aka Caleb, Packers did win. Oh, Dale. Joe, what do we have to say about Dale? Dale. Eagles are 11-1. They beat the Packers and they beat the Cowboys. So anyways. We got a show to do. Joe, let them know what's up though. All right, moving on. We do a segment each and every week where you can win prizes, show off your comic books. Why wouldn't you want to enter? I don't know, but I cannot remember what it's called. Chris, what is this segment called?
I'm going to be honest because I've been buying collections, but I am this week for first time in a long time. I, as well as the segment, am fresh from the comic shop.
Boom! Fly from the pressing salon. That's right. We ask you, the audience, to send in your fresh gets each and every week, uploading them to Instagram. They could be 2 days old. They could be 30 years old. As long as they're fresh in your collection, we want to see them. And you can win prizes as well each month. EGS, Tony with EGS donates a book. He sponsors this segment. I'm yelling and I'm getting hoarse, knowing because Tony's a Cowboys fan as well. Tony and EGS sponsored this segment, giving away an amazing EGS slab. They're doing things so much different in the slab game. You're definitely going to want to start looking at them because you're going to be able to get a unique piece of art that accompanies your unique piece of art, aka the book. Chris, tell us more about EGS.
All right, guys. As always, check out egscomicsgrading.com. If you use the code CANON5, you can save 5% off your EGS order. Again, they have their new proprietary cases, which are absolutely amazing. I wouldn't say that if I didn't believe it. Optional custom labels, free grader notes for any grade, fast turnaround times. Check them out for sure. And like I say every week, guys, if you never used them, you're hesitant, or you got questions, spend the $20-something and just send one book in and find out for yourself. And you can also submit to Fresh from the Comic Shop and have a chance to win one.
Yep. And this month's, or actually November's, was gorgeous, guys. We don't have the December book just yet, but holy cannoli.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Look at this Silver Surfer Rebirth. Again,
do we have a winner?
We do. We're going to talk about that in a hot second. We're going to be giving away this book right now.
Ooh.
Right now. I mean, but just take a look at it in all its glory because it's going to be in somebody else's hands in the audience right there. And that person is, well, why don't we just get into it? We had a semifinals this week.
Who was the two semifinals?
Semifinals were DMAC Art over Grunt Comics. DMAC had the signed McFarlane book. Grunt Comics had the signed Darth Vader book, but it was labeled on CBCS as Star Wars, which is incorrect. And then we had it go up against, oh boy. Hold on. That's not good. I have a final. I do have a final graphic. I got to upload it super quick, guys. Super quick. Hold on. Tell them a story. Chris, tell them a Yeah, okay. And it is...
I'll tell you guys a story.
Boom.
There you go.
Right there. It was.
That's my story.
Yeah. Nerds Being Geeks in the finals over DMAC.
Nerds Being Geeks won?
Nerds Being Geeks did win indeed.
Is this his first?
He's not the Susan Lucci anymore.
Woo!
Nerds Being Geeks, congratulations. Send us your address on the Instagram DMs. We'll get this to Tony, and we'll get this, again, beautiful.
Well-deserved.
Slab
Well-deserved.
in your hands. Absolutely. That was really well-deserved.
Finally.
He's still crushing it as well. So anyways, all right. Moving on, everybody. We're going to get into your fresh gets of the week. Full disclosure, Chris, I did not make it to a comic book shop this week, and I forgot to tell you that pre-show. But let's just get into it. Why don't we? Yep. Because we got Norton Rad. I got this for my niece for Christmas. She is the only girl on her high school football team, and I think she will really like this. I love that. I love hearing that. We want to hear how she is doing. What position does she play? That is fantastic. My daughter is now asking why only boys play football. She's 6, and I'm having a hard time explaining it to her. I'm like, hey, you want to play football? Do it. Let's do it. All right. So hold on. Oh, by the way, hold on. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by Joe, what he said. He did pick that book when you did pick that book when you were on. You are validated. That is the finalist. You are the best guest co-host, aka co-host ever to be on the show. Ever. All right, sorry. Go Birds. All right, moving on. We got Son of Comics. I like this variant right here, Chris. Son of Comics. I Hate Fairyland. Number 1, the Ryan Stegman variant. She's back. She's heading back to Fairyland to save a kid. Don't miss out on a great start to Volume 2. This is a vintage homage. That's homaging. I don't know if that's a word. Ryan Stegman, who's actually the artist on the homage.
Right.
McFarlane did this too, so that's not a big deal. But it's pretty cool. Yeah. I do like that cover quite a bit. Chris, what's your first fresh get of the week?
All right. Well, I guess I'll do this one first. I actually made it to a comic book store. I was out in Chico, and I did a video on it. So if you guys want the details, you can check out that video. But I picked up a first appearance key that I'm very happy to have. Conan number 23, first appearance of Red Sonja.
Nice. First appearance. Oh, wow.
Yep. It has 4 staples in it. So it's very interesting. I don't know if it's a manufacturer defect or what, but like I said, you guys can check out the video that I dropped a few days ago on my channel and, share your input on this. But still, even in the condition with those extra staples for the price, I said, why not?
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Good pickup right there. Moving on here. We got the bearded one. We haven't seen a submission from the bearded one in forever. Here's my latest fresh from the comic shop submission. This time I won't accuse Comic Book Canon of missing my post because they never have. Thank you for that. I love this Dark Crisis Young Justice material. It's motivating me to pull out 20-year-old books in my collection to try and connect dots. So far, Lobo is a cover queen in Deceased, War of the Undead Gods, but that's all the excuse I need to buy this series. He's the biggest Lobo fan, just like Jordan Norrie is the biggest Thunderbolts fan. Rounding out the haul is Justice Society of America 1. Perfect timing for the release, as my curiosity about the team has been growing as of late. Good stuff, man. It's good to see you back submitting. Speaking of Norrie Jordan, we got some good Thunderbolts action here. This week brought some great books in my collection as I continue ever closer to my goal of owning all Thunderbolts books made. That's how I assumed he was typing it. That's how very emphatic about it. Volume 2 of the series has many ratio variants that are both very rare and expensive. I was able to pick up the number 20, 1 in 100, and 1 in 50 Phil Noto variants, number 21 Mike Perkins 1 in 75 variant, and an extra copy of number 7, 1 in 50. These are beautiful covers from a great series. I still have a few more variants from the series to find, but greatness takes time. Take care, everyone. Jordan, we appreciate your dedication. We absolutely do. Chris, your second fresh get of the week. What do you got?
All right, collection pickups. Marvel Tales number 4. Really early Silver Age reprints of some Silver Age key comics. Nice condition, too.
Those are the ones you want to be looking for,
Really
obviously, because it's going to be hard to get the originals right there.
Yeah,
so,
man. This got to be at least this got to be like a, very fine, and for a square bound Silver
yeah,
Age.
man.
Nice.
That's looking very nice. Very nice. Presents well, as the professionals like to say. Marvel Man 616 Comics. What do you got? Star Wars: The High Republic #1. I believe that's the Adventures, by the way. Featuring the first appearance of Therm Scissorpunch, Quiet Shan, Coromant Vizzle, Alec, and Inspector Roth. I love this cover. I haven't gotten this yet, but I will pick this up. Here's the deal. I think during the pandemic, there's been so many first appearances in Star Wars. At this point, every book is a first appearance. So just be careful out there. Don't drop crazy amounts of money on all of these. Not to say they're not good books to pick up. Just saying, be careful. Next up, we have E. Marvell. He has such a good style right here. The Insane Minds of Adam F. Goldberg, Hans Rodionov, and Jeff Zapata have joined forces to bring you the Garbage Pail Kids as you've never seen them before. Dynamite Entertainment and this incredible trio of creators proudly presents Garbage Pail Kids Origins. This all-new GPK comic book, Garbage Pail Kids, comic book event is a badass, sprawling superhero epic. We not only learn how our Garbage Pail Kids heroes came to be, but we also reveal to the world that Atom Bomb and his gang of good guys were instrumental in the outcome of World War II and the fate of humanity. That's worth picking up right there alone, Chris. I dig it. Absolutely. And speaking of fairy tale land, look at this. Comic Demon sends in. A few weeks back, never got to post my new comics. Didn't realize Jenny Frizen covers were everywhere. Comic Demon likes to post quite a bit, but as you all know, we only take one submission per person. And while we're at it, why don't we just remind the fine viewers of how we pick these submissions to move on to the semifinals, and then you guys all vote. Presentation. Give us a well-composed shot. Something artistic outside the box, something fun, something that relates to the book. You see that quite a bit. And actually, you saw that in our winner with Yours
Being
Geeks. I mean, look at that. You got a Werewolf by Night decorative item to the right of it. You got Moon Knight right there. Just have fun with it. Try and get outside the box. Just don't take a picture of it on your bed. So we'll leave it there. Unique. How unique is the book? Unique doesn't mean $30,000, but unique could be something none of us have seen before. That way we weigh that in as well. And finally, story. Give us a story. Tell us what this book means to you. The fact that, who was it? Norrin Rad bought a book for his niece because it had Harley Quinn in some football gear because his niece plays football. That's awesome. We want to hear what these books mean to you. So tell us those three, or try and give us those three things. It doesn't have to be all those things, but we weigh some heavily more than others. All right, moving on. Who do we got? We got Mark Lineker, good friend of the show. JLA 110 from 1974, Sayonara Santa, plus a year-round key. Second, John Stewart. Think about that. Wow. Similar to how one drags the fake Christmas tree out every year. Be prepared to see holiday comics you've never seen before. I've got a few new ones too. Can't wait to see those. Chris, your third fresh get of the week.
All right, another collection pickup. I've been hearing recently a lot of people being like, I think somebody did a video on it and somebody posted on Instagram about it too. Like, why doesn't anybody collect Superman? And Superman doesn't get the love the Superman deserves, I feel. And I've always been a fan of Superman. I don't care what anybody says. So I got some Action Comics number 359, 12-cent Superman. Another nice high-grade looking comic book. Yeah, Superman's on trial, but really beautiful. I love DC. I know DC and Marvel, but DC did a really good job at having really amazing bright colors, including reds and purples in their Silver Age comics, and I love that a lot.
Yeah, that's a classic looking Silver Age book. You're getting some nice pickups there, sir. Indeed. And finally for tonight, we got Joe. We love seeing people's faces here. Joe, you've seen him on the show, so you know who he is, aka 360 Comics. By the way, follow him down. The link is down below. Follow him. He has amazing content on the YouTubes. Below freezing temperatures and being sore from yesterday's convention didn't keep me from the flea markets today. There wasn't much to be found, but I did get a small stack of comics for $1 each, including the minty fresh Street Fighter #1 from Malibu Comics. We've definitely seen a huge boost in video game related collectibles in the last few years and a lot of crossover between that world and comics. So always look out for those first appearances. Right there's a good example of Joe bringing value to all of you fine people. Good pickup, Joe. Good pickup indeed. All right, that's it right there. Chris, we have a decision to make. I have one that sticks out. I'm not sure if you do too. I went first last week.
Okay.
So if you want to talk about which one, which one you want to move on to the semifinals, go for it.
What was the I like Joe. Appreciate showing his face, but he doesn't count because he shows his face all the time. We want all of you no face people to show your faces. What was the one right before that? I forget.
Joe? Right, it was Mark Lineker.
Yeah, before I showed on mine. Oh yeah, Mark Lineker. This stands out to me because I've talked about this book over the last year and a half, and nobody talks about this book. I think this is an undervalued, and I don't say undervalued a lot either, undervalued second appearance.
You're right about that.
Yeah. So that really stands out to me from Mark Lineker to bring this book up and showcase that. So that stood out, but I do have one that takes the cake for me.
Yeah, me too. But you're supposed to say it first. By the way, Dan is home, and he could be the tiebreaker again. Hope being out with your wife was fun. Hope you weren't shopping.
You want me to tell you my
Yeah, you go first.
All right.
Let's say it at the same time. Ready? So we'll go 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
Go. 3, 2, 1. After 1, we say it at the same time.
Yep.
It's going to be the person. Can we do that?
Yep.
Ready? Here we go. 3,
2,
1. E. Marvell. All right, Dan. I said E. Marvell. You said Norrin Rad.
He was my next one. It went Mark, E. Marvell, and then Norrin Rad. He had the Harley Quinn, right?
Norrin Rad had the Harley Quinn, yes.
Yep.
So, Dan De La Torre, it's a tiebreaker. We need you, buddy. We need you between Norrin Rad.
Yeah, let Dan know of the story behind the books.
By the way, I love this. Bring in the De La tiebreaker. That's good. All right, I'm going to read the descriptions here, Dan. Take note. So we got Norrin Rad. I got this for my niece for Christmas. She's the only girl on our high school football team, and I think she will really like this. And then we got E. Marvell with the Garbage Pail Kids. Oh, he's not going to know anything about Garbage Pail Kids. There's no way. Sorry, I'm making assumptions here. That makes an ass out of me. All right. The insane minds of Adam F. Goldberg, Hans Rodionov, and Jeff Zapata have joined forces to bring you the Garbage Pail Kids as you've never seen them before. Dynamite Entertainment and this incredible trio of creators proudly presents Garbage Pail Kids Origins. This all-new Garbage Pail Kids comic book event is a badass, sprawling superhero epic. We not only learn how our Garbage Pail Kid heroes came to be, but we also revealed to the world that Atom Bomb and his gang of good guys were instrumental in the outcome of World War II and the fate of humanity. All right, Dan. What do we got between E. Marvell Garbage Pail Kids and the Harley Quinn football gear? What do we got, Dan? Give us what you got. I think we have a decision, Chris. E. Marvell wins this one, and yes, I know who the Garbage Pail Kids are. I made an ass out of myself, Dan, and I apologize to you. That was a bad assumption on my part. Congratulations, E. Marvell. You're moving on to the semifinals. You'll go up against whoever is in the semifinals next week. So that was great. Fresh from the comic shop. Once again, just a reminder, what you do for Fresh from the comic shop. This is how you enter. Don't know why I'm talking like that. Oh, we don't have a graphic for that, but you tag us at Comic Book Cannon. Use the hashtag FFTCS. Upload to Instagram. Make sure you tag and use the hashtag. 3 things we look for are presentation. Take a well-composed, unique shot. Have fun with it. Be artistic. Unique. The book could be unique. Doesn't mean it's $30,000 to be unique. It's just something that maybe nobody's really ever seen or heard of. And story. What does that book mean to you? Does it tie into your family? Does it, remind you of somebody special in your life? Tell us what that means to you. Send it in, and then you could be a semifinalist and maybe a finalist on Fresh from the Comic Shop and win an amazing EGS slab. We'll have that December slab for y'all next week. Chris, it was a wonderful show with you this evening.
Yeah, man. We got some good movies coming out, and we had some good input from the audience tonight. That was awesome. It makes it even more fun.
No, absolutely. I just want to say I have Christmas Vacation playing on here, and it's when he's on the what that metal sled. Such a classic right here. We want to thank you all again for joining us. We had a nice crew here today. A solid 30 people showing up on a Sunday night during the holiday season. Time is our most precious commodity, and we appreciate you giving us your time because we like spending time with you. So we really, really appreciate that. Again, a reminder, we will be live on Mondays starting in 2023. We have 2 more shows left this year, which will be the 11th and the 18th. Then we are taking off for the holidays. But we will be back. Fresh from the Comic Shop will continue. We will finish out December with Fresh from the Comic Shop. We'll let you know how that works. But Chris, I don't know. Do you have any final words for the show?
That's all I got.
That's all we got too. Yep. We'll see you next week. Be good to yourself. Be good to others. Until then, hey.